Hi, guys. Welcome again. Now, this episode is one of the most impactful conversations that I've ever had on this particular podcast, and quite honestly, in my whole life. It's with an amazing woman, my mother. It's raw, it's emotional, it's unedited, and it's absolutely real, of course. From unimaginable loss to finding the strength to keep going. My mother's story will definitely stay with you. I'm asking you, please watch the episode until the very end. And if it moves you, please hit subscribe so more people can hear her story. Thank you so much, and I appreciate you guys promoting the channel. All right, enjoy the episode, guys. Thank you. Asante. Jambo familia. Today is quite special and unique. I have my amazing mother here. Mom, thank you for joining us here at Echoes from the Motherland. And she is the author of this amazing book right in front of us, Ashes of Silence. So it's a memoir about my mother's life, which is just a glimpse of, her amazing and storied life. And so look forward to sharing some of those really deep and personal stories, Mom. And, I can't wait for the audience to get to know a little bit more about you and what an amazing inspiration you've been to me and hopefully to many others, and I hope that other folks who watch this are going to be inspired as well. So welcome to the podcast, Mom.
Thank you for inviting me and my son.
You're welcome.
I love it. I love it.
That's awesome. So, Mom, let's dive right into it. When it comes to your childhood, what is it about your parents and your siblings that you remember the most?
There's quite a bit of information that I have, but I'll try to limit it to some very specific areas. I was the eldest child of my parents, Moses and Ethren Bonya, and then I had 8 siblings.
Wow.
And being the eldest child, I think I don't know whether it's a Luya culture, which is a sub-tribe that I come from, or is it just an African culture whereby when you are the eldest child, you literally step into the position as a mini parent to your youngsters. So as I was growing up, there was so much responsibilities laid on my shoulders, and I had to be a perfect person because whenever I was left with my siblings and something went wrong, the person who would be actually face the music in terms of being caned or getting punishment was me. So I made sure that when I'm left with my siblings, I had to be literally a perfect being, making sure that I remind them, we don't need to do this, don't do that, because I don't want to be punished for your bad deeds. And as I was growing up also, in those days, boarding schools were a major thing in the community. And my parents were these kind of people who believed so much in education. And they thought that the best thing they could do for me is take me to a boarding school. Unfortunately, being taken to a boarding school at a very tender age left a very negative view about me to my parents. I always felt that I was never loved. And I was kind of rebellious in one way or the other. And anytime they brought up something, I always felt like they never really didn't know me or they didn't love me because I was taken to boarding school when I was only 7 years old. And in boarding, it's almost like a detention camp. You fend for yourself.
Yep.
You don't have a relative there who understands you very well. You have to start learning things from others. Children come from different backgrounds. The matron was from a different tribe, different background, and couldn't even understand my needs and wants. And even when I became lonely, I didn't have anywhere to go to. And that made me become a real introvert that I am, even up to today. I just feel like I was denied the right of growing up as a normal child in this environment. And even my own siblings, up to today, I can tell you one thing, they don't know me. I don't even know them either because of the amount of time I was snatched away from them.
Wow, Mom. Thank you for never taking me to boarding school. Yeah,
I would never have done that to my children, and I swore never to take my kids to boarding school.
Yeah, I don't think I would have enjoyed it much. Those experiences, I know some people obviously back home, that's just doing normally and I knew it. So I'm grateful that I did not go through that. And thanks for sharing a little bit about the background. Now, I know in the book itself, you touched on Guga's, young life as well, and how he was basically an orphan, and how he ended up working in the judicial court system back home in Kenya. As in, did that journey of him inspire you to be a better individual, and also about Goku. I really would love to know about how, despite some of the more difficult and traumatic things that happened, those two people as your parents, how did they shape who you are today? Because you're very resilient, and you kind of worked through a lot, dragged your kids through a lot of hard things and out of them, rather not through them, but through them to get them out of it. Right? How did like Guga upbringing, kind of shape you as well, and kind of give you like that grit?
Yeah, it's very interesting that now that I'm old, I think about the kind of things my dad was telling me when I was still young. And it was mostly lamentation. And as a young child, it's not easy to understand how to digest lamentation because my dad grew up um, almost like an orphan. He was really mistreated by his relatives to an extent that he never had a chance to go to school like normal kids. He would learn how to write and read from his peers when they come back home after he's been taking care of other people's animals the whole day. And he would start learning how to write and just listening to them do mathematics, because those days, the good thing is they didn't have books. So most of the writing and the practice these kids used to do was like a cleaned out ground, and they would be writing these numbers. And my dad would be seated there admiring and like, okay, I can also try writing. Till when he got to save a little money from the jobs he was doing to be able to pay his first fee in primary school, which was like 15 miles away. And he used to walk. He says he would leave like 4 a.m. in the morning to get to school in a totally different village and come
Wow.
back very late hours of the evening. But you see, his stamina and strength just made me feel like, wow, if he could do that in that kind of environment and ended up where he was as a very respectable judicial employee, I think I can do better. Although I felt that I was discriminated by the kind of life they had thrown me into, but it was just the inspiration that kept on giving me that strength that I can do better, I can do better. And my belief was to do better and show him that, Dad, you know what? You can now live well. Because of the pain you went through, I want to change that into joy.
Yep.
With my mother, it was different because in those days, again, girls were not a priority when it came to education. My mom always told me about how his father decided to educate his sons and not him. And all they wanted was for him to get married. So my mom actually got married at a very early age. By the time I was born, my mom was only 20 years. So she got married at a very early age. Although she always used to say, I wish I had gone to school. If only I had gone to school, maybe I would be like so and so. Like when she would see these prominent women on TV and women just doing nice, wonderful things in the world, she would say, you know what? I wish my father had taken me to school. Maybe I'd be one of those women. And that
Definitely.
also gave me that inspiration that, okay, they've given me the opportunity to go to school, then maybe I can be like those other women that my mom is always talking about.
Yeah.
And that has been a phenomenal, wonderful, just driving force in my life. Um, I took the positive part of my life
Yep.
to turn it into a wonderful thing in my own life. And
Definitely.
that's why I've actually excelled and I'm where I am right now.
And I think that's awesome. Honestly, those things, it's powerful to be able to share these stories because, I'm sure folks out there believe they have it really hard, But when you talk about Guga and some of the things that he had went through when he was a child, some people have not had it that hard, Now some people have it even worse. But I think the moral of the story is that we're able to truly grow from some of these very difficult situations to be able to uplift not only ourselves but like our generations and communities, and so that's super powerful. So, Mom, you got an opportunity to come to the United States, not too far from where we are right now in Wilmington College, right? And so
Correct.
I can't imagine coming from basically the village, all the way to the United States in the 80s. What was that experience like as a young black woman in this country at that time? And then how did you even get this opportunity, Mom? Because I actually don't know.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I'm happy that you've asked that question. Um, when I was in school in Kenya, I worked so hard. I really, really worked hard. The good thing with my father is, as he excelled in his career, he also managed to meet people of value. And one person that he really interacted with was one of his distant cousins. And that time he was already a professor, very well known, and all that. And this professor had a brother who was in the United States. So my father talked to this man and was like, I would love my daughter to also go to the United States, with the hope that, I would come to the United States through the church, since my dad was a very staunch religious man in the Quaker church, which was known as the Friends Church, in the East African Friends Church in Kenya. And this professor had a lot of ties, and his children were already here. And my father just admired that if I could have my own go to the United States in a similar way, where I don't have to struggle paying her school fees and everything, it would be fantastic. It did not happen that way. However, the brother to this professor worked out hard to get me an admission at Wilmington College,
Okay.
which is a Quaker school. And they admitted me, and I came in, and it was just marvelous. For me, I was like, I had actually reached the highest level of my life that I really wanted to, because my aim was like, I'm going to read and read and read, and be able to get myself a big job and rescue my parents and just give them the best life and everything. So I ended up in Wilmington College. When I came in, I was actually coming into the medicine. I had never uh, seen a dead body.
That was, man. Yeah, they got me too in med school.
So the first anatomy and physiology class we had, they brought in a cadaver. I looked at it, I just froze. I left that class and I said, never again. I'm not going back to that class. And that was it. So I completely changed my my major to agriculture, which was also an emerging sector in Kenya. And I definitely knew with agriculture I would not go wrong. I would not go wrong. When I get back to Kenya, I'll get myself a big job. And that's how everything now started working out in my life. So I was at Wilmington, fantastic place. Um, Worked very hard, got my bachelor's, actually majored in agriculture and chemistry. Then got myself admitted to Ohio State, but couldn't complete. I couldn't really start even the classes because I didn't have a scholarship then. But my father was like, you need to come home. Now you're a graduate, you'll get a good job. Come and help me educate your brothers and sisters, because that is one requirement of an African child. Once you excel, you start supporting your your siblings and supporting the family. And it gives you that sense of belonging and the sense of feeling like, ooh, I'm just going to be an important person in Kenya. And then I hit the roads of Nairobi. And that is now where I realized, education is not everything.
Absolutely, ma'am. Before we even go back to Nairobi, how was it in the 80s back here in the United States? And did you ever feel like, we talk about, things like racism? Were there those types of like the political and social issues back then that you experienced at all?
Yeah, the most important thing that was brought to my attention when we arrived in Wilmington College, we were told, as a Black person, please don't go to the streets downtown alone.
That's
Always
crazy.
make sure that you are in a company of others, because we all know what Wilmington is. We have the KKK in that area, and they alerted us on it. Discrimination was quite prevalent too. I remember I was one of the best, not really one of the best, but I was the best student in my organic chemistry class. So my professor was a very interesting, jovial man. So one time we did this exam, an end term exam, and he sees me at the corridor and says, "There she is, there she is. She did the best." Um, she had 98%, and the next person had 70 something percent. And one of the guys in my class was so mad. He was a white guy. I'll never forget that guy. He came back, he came to me and told me, "You need to go back to your country. What are you doing in our country?" And I was like, am I supposed to answer this guy or what am I supposed to do? So I just looked at him and I walked away because I didn't know what to expect next. I didn't know whether to expect anything. Anything could have happened.
All right.
So I just walked away and I, of course, was very aware that now at this stage where now my brain is dictating my authority in the college where I am can be risky. And I started becoming very careful. I moved out of the dorms. We moved into an apartment off campus with some of my colleagues, just to make sure that I'm not really interacting so much with some of these people who think that I'm shaming them academically. So there was a lot of racism. In terms of politics, I wasn't so much into politics that time. I was still young. I was more interested in my fellow um, college mates. I didn't have a car. I didn't have any finances that would actually make me be more active in various activities.
Right,
I
right.
only participated in what was on campus,
Yeah.
what was within reach.
Yeah.
And occasionally, if a friend said, "Hey, can we go shopping somewhere?" Yeah, I would jump into the car and go. But you see, at the same time, I had to work hard. Um, I used to work throughout to make sure that I'm getting some money to pay my fee because my parents only paid for my first academic year.
Wow.
And then after that, I had to do all sorts of jobs, cleaning people's compounds, yards, raking leaves and all that, working in the kitchen, the dining kitchen of the university. I was a janitor one time. I just did everything. And the good thing with me is when I know what I'm aiming for, it doesn't really matter what I'm doing. So long as I know I'll be able to get money to pay my fee. And that's exactly how I survived when I was here.
That's amazing, man. That's amazing. I think life is interesting, But I think the moral of the story, no matter how hard it is, there's always a way out, and again, that resiliency that you had, you push it all the way to us as well, and hopefully, we can do the same for our kids as well. And so I think this is just a great way to kind of show and tell that hey, you've been through so much. That could not have been easy at that time because this was a whole new environment. At least when I came here, I had you and Lasala, and so a little bit different, right? But you came here by yourself and you figured all that stuff out. Now,
And to add on to that, communicating with people in Africa that time was really interesting. Making a phone call, you had to have the money to make a phone call. And sometimes you'll have to wait for an hour or so before the phone call goes through because you're going through the post office, the exchange gets to Kenya, Kenya exchange, now gets to the person. And when you write a letter, like you write a letter in January, it'll get to Kenya in June. When they reply maybe in July, it gets to you in January because it was everything. I mean, it was just difficult.
yeah.
So even getting information, communicating with my people back home was really difficult. So whatever I did, whatever happened was I had to grow up so fast to be able to fend for myself because there's no way I can call my dad and say, now I'm stranded, I don't have food, or I'm sick. What am I supposed to do? I had to learn how to navigate the system by myself at a very fast rate. I didn't know many Kenyans. In fact, there was no Kenyan at that time that knew me, but my father informed people through the church, who informed other people here. And then eventually I started getting a few visitors from Kenya. And that's just how it was. It was really, really difficult.
Wow, well, Ma, you did it, which is exciting, and phew, it sounds hectic, and like the lack of technology back then is it doesn't sound like a real world, just because we're just so used to like that instant, I can call my mother or my friends or whatever, and instantly get in touch with them. So that definitely must have been difficult when it comes to just missing your family as well. All right, so back to Kenya. I think you had mentioned Nairobi. So at the time you went back home, how old were you when you finished school?
Oh, when I finished school, I was 23 years old
Okay.
because I did accelerated studies. I used to take classes during winter, during summer, just to make sure that I really go through this training quickly. So I did my degree in 3 years.
Nice. And then when did Kayanga happen?
Oh, yeah. Um, I conceived Kayanga when I was 25 years old, and I always used to say, I want to have my first baby when I'm 25, because I felt like, after doing so much science and whatever, that when you're still young and you get your children when you're young, you are getting intelligent kids, you are able to grow with them, just do everything with them. So
Yeah.
I actually got Kayanga when I was 25 years old. That time I had a prestigious job as a researcher in the Institute of Primate Research in Nairobi, Kenya, dealing with reproductive science in primates. It was fantastic. But because of the fact that I conceived Kayanga, I could not continue working in that institute because you're dealing with a lot of radioactive material. You're dealing with the hormones and everything. I was told that since I'm pregnant, my pregnancy hormones were going to interfere with the experiments. So I was laid off at that moment, and
Before you
before I conceived.
okay.
I mean, before I actually gave birth to him,
Right.
that time during conception, they
Okay.
told me I couldn't work in the labs because I was going to interfere with the experiments. The results of the experiments uh, would be affected. So I was laid off. And then during that time, I started looking for a job. Eventually, I got a job in the Department of Agriculture, um, and posted to Embu as a lecturer. Um, and I used to lecture in the animal science department.
And I think in the book you mentioned, obviously education was like a prestigious job, So at that time, I suppose, how did you feel being a young mother and having to, shift between jobs? Obviously, you were still doing something that you loved in education, and then you had your first born son. How was that period for you, Ma?
It was a little bit hectic because his father was not in his life. But at the same time, the joy with Kenya is you can always get a maid. But for my case, I was very lucky because when I became a lecturer, my brother um, Arnold had just graduated high school. So he was released to come and live with me for a little while.
It's awesome.
So my son was in good hands. As I went to teach, he was with my son, and life became a bit easy. But Embu being so far away from home, I really didn't like it much. So I requested for a transfer to move to western part of Kenya, which is now the place where my parents were, my other siblings were living. Then I was transferred to Bukura Institute of Agriculture and continued teaching there in the Department of Animal Science, where I met my husband. Actually, I met my husband for the first time in Embu when he was working with the Ministry of Cooperative Development. And then when I moved to Bukura, he was transferred to Kisumu, and then we got married. And then I got Lusala and Kuya, my wonderful boys. Uh,
So it was sunny.
yeah, so it was not that Sani was not wonderful, but
Of
I'm like,
course.
so now I was a mother of three wonderful sons.
That's crazy. Three boys,
So,
man, probably eating
yeah,
like cows.
yeah,
Can imagine.
yeah.
That's incredible, man. Wow. So you definitely gone through a few years there from Sunny all the way to us. And I suppose obviously Sunny ended up coming here for further education, and built his life here, and has had a couple of wonderful kids, Jay and Javon. So we know that we lost Sunny, and so I know you talk about, and I talk Sunny Kayanga, same thing about him in the book as well. But I know that time I wasn't here; I was still back in Kenya in 2010 when we lost Kayanga. But for me, it was just a strange feeling because I was so young when Sunny moved here in the 90s, right?
Yeah.
Or 91, and so Sunny moved early 90s, and so I don't really have great memories of Sunny as a child. And then, just when I had gotten the green card to come here, because 2010, unfortunately that happened, and I came later on in the year, right?
Right.
So I didn't really get a chance to actually be with him as an adult. And so, what are some memories that you can just share that pretty positive about Sunny? And I would have loved to understand his personality, just like I understand Lusola's personality, and just the way we built our relationship. It would have been, I would feel like I would just rubbed up like that whole experience, with my eldest brother.
Yeah. Yeah, we all feel the same. We were robbed at a wrong time. Anyway, I really don't think whether there's any right time. when it comes to a mother and a child. But Kayanga was a very, very interesting character. He was conservative and an introvert. He didn't used to talk much, but he was always on point. Like if he wanted something done, he would just call me in a very soft spoken. He would come, Mom, this is what I'm thinking. Um, and we need to do this. I don't think we have any more time to waste. So he comes when he's already decided exactly what he
Yeah.
wants to do. Very hardworking. Oh my goodness, Sunny was so hardworking. He never wanted to waste time. He was very principled. And the few moments I saw him with his children, he was a wonderful dad. I remember playing him going out to play basketball with Jaylin. They would just jump and jump. And that time, Jalen was only 3 years, but it was like, I want my daughter to grow up as a basketball player. My son is going to be a footballer and things like that. He had a lot of ambition, a lot of um, life in him, which I miss so much.
Yeah.
I only wish he was here for me to see him grow to what he really wanted to be.
Right. Yeah, definitely. It's painful not to. You mean you can ask all those questions like why this, why that, but ultimately, I think left us the legacy with again Jalen and Javan, and so it's a great thing
Right.
that we have those two, and hopefully they can also fulfill some of those dreams that Kayanga had for them. And so we won't dive too deep into that because I know it's definitely an emotional topic, man. But if you want to come back there, we can at some point in the conversation for sure.
Yeah, I would say that, in fact, writing my book took me so long because of that section where I lost my son. Because losing a son in sleep, he goes to sleep and doesn't wake up, was very painful. I asked myself a lot of questions. But for anybody who is more interested in understanding what transpired when he died, please just grab that book,
Yep.
The Ashes of Silence. You will be able to actually understand how painful it is. And I just always pray every day that no parent should ever go through the same thing. It's very tormenting.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've been there with you along the journey, and you're definitely healed over time slowly. But I think that's the pain that you just cannot forget. So obviously, Gaduni, for example, lost her parents as well, and many years ago. So like almost over half her life now, she's been an orphan. But that pain is still there to this day. And so I think losing a parent or a child is something that is just, it happens, but it's really difficult to get over that hump. Now we can definitely switch gears a little bit into pre moving here and all the like Sani, for example, in terms of like his passing. But you got the opportunity to go to Australia. For me, that was actually something that I think really changed my outlook on life. Even though I was still pretty young, but I just felt like obviously moving from Kenya to Australia was a huge change in my life. It was like it's like this whole new thing that just never existed before that, somehow I'm a part of. And so I think that particular part for me really changed the narrative of like what life can be. I never felt lesser than anybody at school. Luckily got your genes and dad's genes fairly intelligent, but I am good enough at school where I can excel, or I was, and I still am. And so, at least on that end, it was easy for me to, kind of go to school. It's too much pressure as being, one of the only few black kids, I think, at school at the time. But for you, though, like, how did you, again, get the chance? How did you make the leap? And then, how did that period, at least for you, just kind of transform, or did it transform your life when you were in Australia?
Yeah, I would like to start by saying that I think I was really blessed just having gotten a job in the Department of Agriculture. I did excel in the Department of Agriculture, and while I was in agriculture in 1987, I got an opportunity to go to the Netherlands to do a diploma course in rural dairy production. As I have told you earlier, I'm so much interested in livestock production. When I was in the Netherlands, my brain just kind of opened up and said, Juliet, I think you've not yet achieved what you really want to achieve. After leaving that training, my aim was now to go in and do my master's degree. I really wanted to specialize in an area that I love so much. So I came back to Kenya and started looking for scholarships, and I was very lucky. I was very lucky that the Australian government had partnered with with the Kenyan government to provide scholarships to those people who are interested in going to study specific areas. And one of the areas was in animal production, and that was my specialty. So when I completed the forms, we had to write a small kind of essay on exactly what you want to go and study and how it's going to benefit the country that you're coming from. I went into the library, buried myself in, wrote a fantastic um, research paper and presented it. And during the interview, I could just tell while I was on that panel that I was going to get this thing. I was going to get it because the way it was presented, the kind of questions I was being asked, they could realize that I was actually an expert in this area. And a day later, they called me and said, "Hey, lady, you got the scholarship, so you can now go to Australia and do your master's." The good thing with this scholarship, which I loved so much, was it takes care of your family too. And that meant that my children could also get this opportunity to be with me abroad. So I did leave for Australia, and 4 months later, Kuya joined me because he was the baby, and this is the one I really wanted him to come so fast. And Lusala was in high school that time, and we had to wait for the end of the quarter for him to be able to have his documents processed and come over. So Kuya, you were fairly young that time, and you traveled all by yourself because you really wanted to come to Mama. And when they got there, they found that I had already organized everything to do with school. I already had a beautiful home for them, and they just came in and started going, started school right away. There was no interruption in their academic life.
Right.
So as I was struggling doing my master's, I was also struggling to take care of my children and making sure that they get the best, because that kind of setup was not feasible in Kenya. It wasn't. And God gives you a chance only once in a lifetime. And when you get a chance, you must maximize. So I decided I was going to maximize this opportunity, where I did not just do one degree, one master's degree, I did two master's degrees in that short period of time.
Yeah, you were living
And
in books, man. I remember coming to university with you. I would go to the gym sometimes. You were just in books the whole day. I would come and do my homework from your office over there in James Cook University. Yeah, I remember you were. It was crazy, man.
yeah, you guys used to go to bed, you wake up at 3 a.m., I'm still reading.
Yeah,
You wake up in the morning, Mom, you're still reading. Mom, when will you go to bed? And I'm like, not now. Not
yeah,
now, my children, not now. Because my aim was, if I succeed, this is going to give a very good encouragement to my children to also succeed.
yeah.
Just to know that people have to work hard. For you to achieve anything, you must put in all that you have, put in all your efforts, and without complaining, but with joy. I always had a smile on my face. And you will not believe it, I still had time to help them do their homework, go to their school activities, and occasionally take them to the strand just to enjoy themselves, take a swim, take a walk. Up to today, I still believe, when you want to do something, do it. Yes, you can do it. Just put in all the efforts, organize yourself, and do it. And that's how I managed to do it. I feel so proud of myself. It was tough, but I feel very proud of myself.
No, you did great, man. Obviously, super. You inspire us to be better every single day. And I mean, even that at that point in time, he was doing stuff that he didn't want to do for sure. So I think to see your parents and I truly sacrifice some of the things that for you guys, it was a lot of time and effort, and you're changing countries and cultures just to be able to provide like a better future for us as well. I think both Lusala and I, and I'm sure Sani as well, we saw that in real time, and so we you may have not been telling us you have to work hard, you have to do this. You guys were doing it. So, like, we just naturally see what that looks like. And so it's very hard for us to, at this time, to be slackers, because, like, we just didn't grow up with people who never work, who were not ambitious, who were not pushing. So I think being able to kind of see that in real time really shaped, I know for me, how I operate now and, the things that I try to push for. I still want a better life. Some people may be content with like my life at the time. I mean, at this time, but I just feel like I'm just getting started. So, and that comes from like all these years of seeing you incrementally, get better, get better. You always want to get better and provide a better life for yourself and the kids. Well, us. So, you truly inspired us, and I think I'm also very proud of you, Mom, from all that hard
Thank
work
you.
to being too close to retirement, which is excellent.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Now, Mom, about the book. All these experiences, I wager, like, what was that one thing that just told you in your heart that I have to write a memoir about my life and hopefully get some folks inspired to understand what that journey looked like. But when I know the journey started a little bit ago, but what was like the spark that made you want to write the book?
The thing that actually made me want to write the book is my life after the death of my son. Because when I came to this country, when I came back to this country to join my son, he had told me one thing, that, Mom, you've worked so hard. You've worked so hard. We don't want you to work anymore. It is our time to take care of you. And I believed him. I believed my son. And then within 7 months of my stay here, he passes away. I have no job. I have no dime on me. I have no house. I was left a destitute in this country. I had nowhere to stay. I remember all the time he was in the hospital, 13 days, I lived in the hospital. And for me to have changed that pain into something productive that I am today is something that I'd really want to help other people understand. Then when you hit the rock bottom, that doesn't mean it's the end of the world. It is just a beginning of a new chapter of your life. I had nothing. The only thing I kept on thinking about is I need to die. I really wanted to commit suicide. I wanted to die so badly. I just was like, God, if you can just take me now, I want to go in that grave with my son. But something else kept on talking to me at the back of my mind. What about Lusala and Kuya? What about Jalen and Javan? What is going to happen? You have to be there for them. But the other question is how? I have nothing. I don't have a bank account. I don't have a job. So I gained strength through the church and managed to start standing up slowly by slowly, getting any job. That time I was ready to take any job. So my first job I got after my son died was a caregiving job, something I had never thought I would do. But guess what? It ended up being the best job I've ever done, just caring for somebody and knowing that one day maybe somebody else will care for you. Just gave me the inspiration. And I started going on and on till today when I'm working as a service coordinator for the Department of Developmental Disability, just making sure that these individuals are getting this kind of services they deserve to make their lives better. And so I just want to encourage everybody who might be going through what I'm going through, or it will go through what I went through. When you find yourself homeless, you find yourself financially low, you find yourself morally low, don't give up. Believe in yourself. Talk to yourself and say, surely there must be an opening somewhere, and try to figure out what that opening is. That is what inspired me to write this book. I've counseled a number of people who've lost their own children. I might not have not, broken through very well, but I try to be there with them. And that is the thing I really want to do. I really want to become an advocate of parents who've lost a child.
Yeah.
It is whether you have money or not, whether you have a beautiful home or not, just navigating through that loss is the biggest and the most painful thing. That's why I was inspired to write this book.
Wow. It's powerful. I think that's powerful. Obviously, with the audience, we encourage you guys to write to us. Leave some comments below again, because again, we're a small channel, so we're still growing. So again, we read pretty much everything. And as I said, as my mom eloquently said, she's there to provide any support to anybody going through some tough times. So we know that life is tough, and so I think something that I kept hearing you, and I even wrote it down, Mom. You always reinvented yourself. Like no matter how things were hard or even easy, you're always like, you know what, I can just change what I'm doing, change what a particular scenario in my life. One of the things that I live by is, I think it's what is it? And plus reaction equals outcome. So you have situations like losing your son. Your reaction was not to give up, right? You're like, you know what? I still have other kids, grandkids. I still have my life to live. I will not let this be the end of me. And so your reaction to this particular event was powerful, where you just rose from those ashes, and to be able to kind of create a much better outcome for yourself. Like we're here in your house. This is our village in the United States. So basically, Nico, we share both. And so it's really nice to come home here in Ohio and, just be in your house, Ma. So it's really, really cool to know that again. And you said it several times, no matter how hard life is, which life is hard, there's always light at the end of the tunnel, as long as, you're working towards that. And so I think you're a true inspiration, Mom, for me and hopefully, for many, many people out there. And so now that you're close to retirement, Mom, how would you define success? Because I know success is very relative.
Yeah, before I go to that, I'd just like to also say that I know some people will be asking, why did you get this title? How did you choose this title, Ashes of Silence? For anybody who's looked at ashes, you will never know what is cooking under the ashes. You might think that the ashes are just like something nice, quiet, whatever. And when you put your hand in there could be fire down there. So I know that many people look at me and they say, oh my goodness, you're so jovial, you are so sweet, or whatever. But inside, they do not know what my side holds. The pain I have gone through, the things I have had to endure, the hurdles I have jumped in my life cannot be shown on my face. If someone was to rip my heart and just go through each and every section of the life hurdle I've jumped, they would not even believe I'm the same one seated here smiling. So I wanted a book that would capture my feelings and my outward look. I looked nice and calm and happy, but inside there's some pain and wounds that are still healing. So that is why I chose that kind of title. And now that I'm going towards retirement, it's a very interesting feeling. Um, when I had to apply for my Medicare, and I was like, wow, I'm finally there. And I want to look back and ask myself, did I ever know that I would be here uh, after going through so many difficult moments? Many people, I know of a lady who lost a child the time I lost my child, and she decided to commit suicide. We had tried to cancel her, but it just didn't work out. And here I am now going into retirement. The funny part of it is I'm so excited about it because I just feel like now a new chapter of my life is starting. And especially the way my sons have embraced me. And right now there's a push and pull of who is going to live with mom, who is going to do this for mom, who is doing. It gives me so much joy. It's like, oh my goodness. I never knew and I never believed that I would get to this level where my children would just show so much love and joy and respect and just trust in me. And I'm really looking forward to it. They are preparing everything. Each one of them has prepared a nice unit for me. Each one is preparing buying me a new car, taking me to vacations that I've never been, making sure that I'm medically fit. And it's just so, so exciting. I'm not scared. I definitely know I have a lot to do. I'll have my grandchildren to enjoy even more. I will go on many trips that they'll be going, and I'll be doing a lot of cooking for them that I've always wanted to do for them and have not been doing for them. Um, so it's something I'm really looking forward to, and I think I'm even going to be a happier mother than I have been in the past during my, they call them the golden years. Should we say that? Maybe. I'm excited about retiring.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, we'll make sure that it's going to be a fun time. I still have a lot of life to live, like 40 more years. So that's so much more life to live. So you might as well make it worthwhile. And can't wait to see once you retire, where you end up going. Hopefully to Dallas, but neither here nor there. So I guess my last question for you, Mom, if you were to speak to your younger self, just knowing through the ups and downs of life that you've gone through at this point, like what are some of the things that you would tell a younger Juliet?
The only thing I would really tell my younger Juliet is maybe I should have learned to speak out more for myself, especially when it came to my family setup. I should have learned how to advocate more for myself, and maybe some of the feelings I have today and some of the character that has been embedded in me would have been a little bit different, because I'm very scared of telling somebody off. Um, and it's just because I was scared from the time I was young, because of the way I was being brought up. I did not have the opportunity to stand up for myself. So if I was to tell myself again, when I become young again, Juliet, be tough, stand up for yourself, and do the things you love most.
That's beautiful, man. That's beautiful, and I love that. Definitely, again, to our audience, please speak out for yourself more, advocate for yourself more. Like your voice does matter, and in every room, somebody will be listening. And so I think Oprah said it very well. Everybody wants to believe that they are heard, listened to, because, at the end of the day, we're all human beings. And so Oprah, I know is one of your idols for sure. So kind of speaks to like that ideology. And Mom, I just want to say, thank you so much, for teaching that silence doesn't mean it's surrender, and pain does not mean that it's defeat. It simply means that something stronger is being built underneath, as you said, with the ashes. People may have not seen like this beautiful part and strong nature of you, but you have continuously proven to be very, very resilient, and coming out on top of every tough situation even better. And so you really turned your words into wisdom today, and just so grateful that I have you in my life, and I know that the family is extremely happy that we have an amazing matriarchy like yourself. And so please, everybody, grab Mom's book. It's on Amazon. I'm going to post the link in the description. Let's support her. It's, again, the channel is about empowering strong Black voices, and I hope like today's story has truly been one of inspiration. And so we will get more amazing people like my mother on the podcast. And this is not the last time you're seeing Mama on this podcast. This is just the first time. And so we'll continue to bring her and, share some of those words of wisdom with everybody. And so, Mom, any parting words for our audience today? I'll let you close it out today.
Thank you very much, my son. Thank you so much. I'm so proud of you for giving me this opportunity to be able to at least share a little bit of my life with the world. The thing is, I've not even said much. There's so much that we can talk about. And, I would like anybody who is reading my book, if you have questions or you want to understand a little bit more of what I've said in there, you know what? You can always get in touch with me. My email, um, Facebook account is all out there.
Yep.
You should be able to get in touch with me and ask me more questions. Those ones who need support, just counseling, learning how to navigate through a problem of losing a child. I'm ready to help. I am sincerely ready to help. I'll sit by your side. I will work with you. I will go to your counseling sessions with you. That is something I really want to continue doing because it's a very difficult road for anybody. And anybody who wants to learn how to raise boys, just also get in touch because I had three wonderful sons and they have made me so proud.
It's awesome.
Thank you, Ma.
Yes, good.
My son, thank you, thank you,
Thank
thank you. I
you.
love you so much.
Mwah.
Thank you,
All
thank you,
right. Thank
thank
you so
you.
much, everybody.
I love you all.
Deuces. Mwah. Bye
Yeah.
bye.